the top of my game. I'm right up there with the big dogs. Girls, come on. Leave the saving of the world to the men?
Oh my lord, there's a drag queen. Nothing motivates me more to want to protect our country putting my life on the line than being able to dress like the opposite gender. I'm on board. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is the spot on the internet that we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants. Come, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities. There are many, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Hashtag American. The Navy is now using drag queens as a recruitment strategy, which I would just imagine is just so effective. I mean, like if we're looking for fierce soldiers who are strong in their bodies, strong in their mind, and they're brave, they're willing to put their lives on the line to defend our country, protect and preserve the Constitution, I think drag queens basically fits the bill. It is the exact ideal soldier. Will it work? It won't. Or how bad will it work? And is there an intentional attempt to weaken our military, to weaken America?
Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Lisa Franchetti told the House Armed Services Committee last month that the Navy is projected to fall 6,000 recruits, or 16%, short of its goal for enlisted sailors this fiscal year.
One thing to consider at this juncture before we see said drag queen, which when you do, you're going to feel very motivated to join the Navy. I guarantee it, unless you definitely won't. But one thing to consider is, yeah, the military in general is facing recruitment shortages, not able to get enough new soldiers in. So you have to ask yourself the question, if we're falling short on recruitment, and therefore we need more soldiers, would we want to use a recruitment strategy that will work? Bring new soldiers in? Or would we want to do the opposite and do like a Bud Light strategy, use a recruitment strategy that will actually bring probably even less soldiers in, because people may not want to join a branch of the military that looks like it is mentally unstable. I don't know. Bullets go on.
They're exploring new recruitment strategies, such as this one. And if that doesn't convince young men to join the Navy, there's this. Meanwhile, Iran has seized a second US-bound oil tanker in a week, and the Chinese Communist Party has unveiled its newest aircraft carrier that claims to be able to carry more aircraft with more munitions, flying on longer missions.
Man, we're on the doorstep of World War III. For the love of God, I hope it doesn't happen. By the way, Ray Dalio, a famous investor, Wall Street guy, very smart, maybe a little too New World Order-ish for me, but nonetheless, he is great with the stock market, great at predicting things. Ray Dalio has said there is a 50% chance that World War III breaks out. So I certainly hope it doesn't, but if it does, you'd think now will be the best time for America to have strong national defense, a vast military. So what are we going to do to build this vast military? That's right, call GI gender. Get them in.
The U.S. Navy now turning to drag queen influencers to attract new recruits.
I receive attention just for being myself on a daily, because being queer, being non-binary, someone such as myself on a regular gets stared at.
I'm at the top of my game. I'm right up there with the big dogs. Girls, come on.
So if you're obviously a man dressed as, this isn't even dressed as a woman, this is dressed as a clown, that's why you get stared at. If there was any mystery to it. And to this soldier who is also this influencer doing the drag campaign, I also want to say sincerely, thank you for your service. Thank you for serving. I don't think this recruitment strategy is at all a service, but whatever his role in the military is, I appreciate that. I love veterans. I love all active duty military. They're just some of the absolute best people on earth, and definitely the bravest.
Active duty yeoman second class Joshua Kelly doubles as drag queen Harpy Daniels and now is the face of the Navy's recruitment drive as a digital ambassador. Well, the Navy recruited only 982 new reserve officers last year, well short of its goal of nearly 1,400.
So here's a quick question for you before we go on. Who do you think would make a better soldier? Who represents the archetype of a better soldier? I mean, you just think of the quality of soldier strength, bravery for sure, physical strength for sure, mental strength for sure, discipline, fierceness, being well trained. Let's judge some books by the cover real quick because oftentimes it's accurate. Do you think this soldier would, let's attract more of these? You think this soldier is a better soldier, or do you think, for example, these people might be better soldiers? Really hard to get to the bottom of this. Someone out there, it's probably not you, we're probably on the same page, but someone out there might be saying like, JP, why are you bashing drag queens? That is hateful. It is very phobic. It is transphobic. It's queerphobic. It's misogynist. It's also racist. And it's like Robert E. Lee statues of you. No, it's not. The thing I'm criticizing here is using something, drag, as a way of appealing to get people involved in something that has nothing to do with drag. It's kind of like, say I was a cheese salesman and I'm trying to sell you on some cheese. So I'm like, hey, I've got my cheese here, and what I want you to know is I enjoy anal sex. It is phenomenal. Let me tell you all about my sexuality. And you might be sitting there thinking, one, that cheese looks disgusting, and two, the sexual stuff has nothing to do with the cheese. Why are you telling me that, JP? It just kind of makes you seem mentally ill. To which I would say, I do have a mental illness that I am not interested in treating. I'm interested in having it affirmed and strengthened. That's the thing with the Navy's drag queen recruitment strategy. What someone does in their private time, what someone's sexual stuff is, I'm cool with it all, but it has nothing to do with being a soldier. Navy. So let's hear from the soldier who is doing the drag as a recruitment strategy.
Compared to Dylan Mulvaney saying that this is the Navy's Bud Light moment, that all of a sudden people aren't going to.
Which is very true. I'm glad this news anchor, who probably shills for Big Pharma for sure, I'm glad he said that in the presence of the drag queen / soldier. It is the military Bud Lighting themselves.
Going to want to serve because you've been put out as a face of the Navy. It's got to at least hurt a little bit personally, doesn't it?
Honestly, no, it doesn't hurt.
I don't believe him. I think it does hurt.
The reason why it doesn't hurt is because you have your own opinions, you have your own views. And as a sailor, it's my job to defend that freedom. And that includes even my freedom of expression. So anybody who served their country and put on that uniform has taken that oath just like me.
By the way, I'd imagine a lot of the people in the Navy who are legit soldiers were we're here to defend our country instead of we're here to put on women's clothes. They're probably cringing because there's the long running sort of joke that hey, everybody in the Navy is gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a joke. And then here's the face of the Navy and they're like, dude, you're not helping our cause here, bro.
So I don't necessarily am hurt by any hate or negativity. I simply just pay it no mind, and it will eventually the truth will come out, and what is right is what is right, and what is wrong is what is wrong. But that's not for me to determine. My job is to just continue doing what I'm doing. And if being an openly queer sailor and showing representation for the LGBTQ plus community, a community that simply has not had the opportunity to shine as bright. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was only 2011.
By the way, if there was any question about it, the purpose of the military is national defense and at times offense, which, the Pentagon will usually label as, well, we're doing national defense. It's no, you're on the offensive there, bro. That's the purpose of the Navy. National defense, protecting America, protecting American lives, upholding democracy. The purpose of the Navy or any other branch of the military isn't for sexual expression. It's not to represent sexual expressions. Could you imagine if back in 1821, whenever the Navy was formed, they're hey, we need a branch of the military that is going to represent gender fluidity. That's what we need. We need to, give them guns. We're all against guns on this side for some reason, but we need a military branch to properly represent gender identity. That's what we need. Like, that's what your Instagram is for, so you can do your gender thing on Instagram or having human conversations. I just want to think about this a little bit here, people.
September, and we only allowed trans member to serve openly since 2021.
Yeah, and I would say, how about any sexual orientation isn't allowed to be open in the military? All of them. It's like, shut the up. This is the military. We don't care about your sexuality here. That's for your private life. Shut the up. Like, no sexual openness in the military. If I was Bill Clinton, I remember Bill Clinton back in the 90s. Hearing him talk about the don't ask, don't tell policy, while he was definitely doing some sexual deviant stuff.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
He wasn't telling anybody. A lot of people started asking about it. Also flew on Epstein's jet 26, 27 times. There's also a photo of one of Epstein's trafficking victims giving Clinton a shoulder massage. I wonder if that's all he received. But nonetheless, it's a very nostalgic moment for me thinking about Bill Clinton with his don't ask, don't tell speeches.
I just simply have to be the first person that authentically said, I want to still be me and serve my country. And I believe I definitely did that. And I'm not the only one. Every branch has drag queens, has LGBTQ plus members. And if anything, drag itself should be nothing new for anyone who served.
Drag should be nothing new for anybody that serves. You know, when you're over in Afghanistan on the battlefield, you have special forces kicking the door open, looking for terrorists who might be holding hostages. It's a life and death situation. And that's the kind of time where you want to pull out your wig, put your lipstick on, and represent.
Actually, even in the service, before times of World War II, when my grandfather served, I know he's definitely seen a few drag queens, and my father himself, who served 24 years, would tell me the crossing of the line ceremonies. And if anybody knows those, drag has been a part of it too.
Now, I am not a soldier. I've never been in the military, and I'm not proud to say that. I probably never enlisted because I don't have enough courage, just to be honest with you. I would be so proud if I had served in the military. But let's live in the world for a second where your beautiful redheaded friend, was in the military. And let's say in my private life, what am I into? I'm into comedy. I'm into pickleball. I like talking with friends. And I entered the military. I'm like, hey, these things I'm really into, I need to do these on the battlefield. I need to play some pickleball. And they're like, shut the up. Like, you're in the military. That's not what we do here. That's for your private life. That would be appropriate. Same thing with drag. Now, before the plot thickens too much, let's take a look at a clip of a lady defending the Navy using drag queenness as a recruitment strategy.
1927, here's a picture on a Navy ship in drag. Drag is a long tradition to keep the entertainment and the enrichment going. I'm going back to 1500s with Shakespeare. Men played the female characters. Like, I just don't understand.
Men do a lot of things that also have no place in the military. Dude, throughout history, like, people have been doing this and this and this. Yeah, well, that's not what the military's for. And it also doesn't really appeal to the mind of people who would be potential recruits for the military.
This hyper focus on trans people don't try and indoctrinate me.
That's not true.
They don't try to shoot up a school.
That's not true. The Nashville school shooter was very trans, so.
They don't try and give me a pandemic and yell at me when I want to save my family.
Some have, yeah. Hetero people have done some yelling about the pandemic, and also trans people, so 0 for 3.
Why this one issue that has not harmed any?
So why the one issue? Because how you dress, what kind of gender you pretend to be, has nothing to do with military service. Some would say it's actually a distraction, which brings me to this point, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. Is this actually a deliberate attempt to weaken our military as a way of ultimately putting America in jeopardy. I say that with, unfortunately, an open mind, because we look at what's happening in America, and there is no question there is an attempt to destroy America. Only question would be, who's attempting it? I could speculate, well, it sure looks like, amongst other people, like George Soros, the Biden administration seems like it's very intent on, not accidentally through incompetence, but deliberately destroying America. To destroy a country, you just think of, okay, what are the steps used in communism to destroy a country so that communism can take over? You got to have open borders. Check. We got that. What else do you need? Well, you need to disconnect people from God. Check. Statistically, that's happening. Biden's Thanksgiving speech that he just gave, it was the first Thanksgiving address in history that a U.S. president did not mention God. Statistically, the belief in God is just going down and down and down. Cool. You got to disconnect people from God to destroy a country. What else do you need? You got to destroy truth. Oh, is that what the censorship's for? Cool. And then what one might wonder, okay, if there is an agenda by devious, evil fucking people to destroy America, then wouldn't it make sense that having a weak military would be helpful to that agenda? And a way to have a weak military is, one, instead of using a recruitment strategy, use a repelling strategy. We saw the case study with Bud Light, what this whole, I'm a man pretending to be a woman. We saw what that does to Bud Light. $27 billion lost in market cap. I would guess objectively, people who implemented this strategy don't actually have expectation that this will increase recruitment. My hypothesis is perhaps they have the expectation that this will repel recruitment, make it harder, get less people enlisting in the military. Evil people might be evil, but oftentimes they're at least intelligent. And this just seems to have the fingerprints of intelligent design. It doesn't look intelligent relative to the agenda of wanting to increase recruitment. This is predictably something that won't increase recruitment and at the very least would repel recruitment. The same way a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to the bar, but I don't want to drink Bud Light. That's stupid. That same kind of, I don't want that. It's kind of evoked here when we get the drag queen thing going. In other news about the military recruitment crisis, now this is a strategy. It's a new strategy, and this one seems like it's actually a strategy that will increase recruitment. It's a shame this has to be used. I think it's a crime against humanity that the opposite was in place for a while. But if you take a look at this Army recruitment flyer, vaccines not required. Isn't it interesting? I mean, one, that change in policy, I like it, but I hate that it was ever required. I hate that military people were either forced out of the military for refusing it or they had to get it, even though they didn't actually want it. Isn't it interesting that they see this as an actual appeal, attraction for getting new people involved? Advertising, you don't got to get this thing, which would kind of tell you like, it seems like the majority of people are repelled by that thing. Tells you a lot about the mass consciousness of America. You can read a little deeper into this story where the plot thickens like a Pfizer blood clot. Army invites back soldiers discharged for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. Nearly a year after Congress forced the Pentagon to rescind its mandate requiring all troops to receive the coronavirus, 19 soldiers have rejoined the Army after they were discharged for refusing the shot, the Post has exclusively learned. So not only are they trying to get new recruits by blatantly letting them know, hey, you don't gotta get this shot, but they're trying to take back the recruits that were discharged because they refused it in the first place. Not too successful here. with getting the recruits back or the existing service people back that had to be discharged. Only 19. The news comes after the service sent a letter earlier this month inviting former soldiers who declined the job to apply to rejoin as the military faces recruitment challenges. As part of the overall mandate rescission process mandated by Congress, the Army this month mailed the letters to approximately 1,900 individuals who had previously been separated. Those who refused the and did not receive an exemption were booted from the military for violating a lawful order. So in the Army alone, just over 1,900 soldiers were discharged for refusing it. They didn't have an exemption. My understanding is they were making it really hard to actually get an exemption. Now this is interesting. But now the mandate has been rescinded. The Army is welcoming back soldiers so long as they make certain requirements. What are those requirements, you might ask? So applicants, former service people that were discharged for refusing it, they are considered for re-enrollment on a case-by-case basis. And it goes on to say, for example, a soldier who quietly and politely declined the is more likely to be allowed to return to the ranks than one who became openly defiant and acted out against their superior. That's great. I mean, the past couple of years, the military, and I mean, the military I have so much respect for. So let me specifically say the woke idiots creating these policies for the military. The military, they need support. It's like they're putting their lives on the line. So they have all this woke crap thrown at them, which I would dare say does nothing to improve their fighting ability, their defense ability, their ability to stay alive and protect American lives. I would dare say it actually makes that more challenging. But nonetheless, the past couple of years, these woke idiots who create these policies for the military, they have had quite the track record of, well, making sure they have recruitment shortages. Like, okay, this shot that nobody wants, let's make it so you have to get that. Okay. And then, what is it? 0.0001% of our population does drag. Why don't we use that as the face of our recruitment strategies? I am obviously just an idiot, but I would dare say the military focusing its efforts on training, physical conditioning, mental conditioning, tactical conditioning, I would dare say that actually might make the military more effective. It might actually make soldiers stronger, as opposed to like, hey, today we're going to have a lesson on what color eyeshadow looks best on the battlefield. But that's what the military's doing right now, specifically the Navy, using a drag queen influencer, trying to recruit people to join the Navy. Will it work? Will it be neutral? Will it actually make the recruitment shortages even more severe? We shall see. I certainly predict that it won't do anything but Bud Light the Navy. And for the sake of our soldiers, for the sake of our nation, I sure hope whatever mind virus has infected some of these woke military people, I sure hope that gets cured soon, because the world's getting a little nuts. With that said, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you on our next video. Before that, here's a special message. I'm someone who likes to take charge of my health, and there's only so much time in the day. So one of the number one ways I've found that gives me the most bang for my buck elevating my health is with infrared saunas. And the way I do it, with the Bon Charge infrared sauna blanket. Being someone who loves to have good health and good energy, I was always stressing out about like, how do I do detoxification? How do I elevate my metabolism? How do I de-stress? How do I make sure I get better sleep? But once I started using the Bon Charge infrared sauna blanket, I found it easy because I was accomplishing all those objectives at once. And I feel better because of it. I find I have more energy, I melt my stress away, and I find I sleep much better. And here's the best part. Normal infrared sauna systems are super expensive and take up massive space in your home. I don't like to spend a ton of money and have a bunch of blocky crap cluttering up my home. But the infrared sauna blanket solved that problem for me too. It's the most cost-effective infrared sauna system on the market, and I love the fact that it's compact. When I want to use it, I just roll it out. Then when I'm done, I wipe it down and put it away. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. This holiday season, Bon Charge is offering a massive 25% off everything site-wide. Just head over to bondcharge.com/JPReacts and the 25% code will automatically be applied at checkout to your entire order. The time has never been better or less expensive to take your health and wellness to the next level, thanks to BondCharge.